Alright, our man here wants to say hello. Camera's on. He's happy now. Hi, I'm an Australian living in Belarus, and obviously this is not Belarus, of course. This is Indonesia, and I'm currently in the capital, or the temporary, soon to be not capital, of Jakarta, which has somewhere around the vicinity of 15 or 20 million. To put that in perspective, of course, in Belarus, we have around 9.5 million and maybe just under 2 million in the capital of Minsk. So I just want to point out some really big differences between living here and life here and life in Belarus. In Belarus, things are very orderly. You don't really get a lot of people just randomly doing things, like randomly selling things. So for example, you can see on the other side here, they just set up some tents. They're selling, it seems to be orange juice, some other kind of fried, we've got some fried things are pretty big here. So that's ayam is, I know this is chicken. Goreng is fried, so fried chicken, crispy fried chicken. That would be. Nasi is rice, so you get a good sense of what's going on here. Hello. And everyone likes to say hello here. Like Belarus actually, not quite as many in Belarus, but nonetheless. So you see this lifestyle here, you see these dudes are sitting there, cool, sitting out there eating, whatever, cross the street, walk up to do whatever you were doing, right? So yeah, there are babushkas selling fruit and vegetables on the street side, sometimes in the metros in Belarus, but here they take it to a whole new level. And of course it's always warm here, so you can always sit outside, and you bet that in the evening when things get a little bit cooler, people are much more willing to sit out here and eat for the evening as well. So that's one big difference. You got this kind of street food, street stalls. Now of course you take your chances, yeah, with your stomach, but probably things will be cool. Second big difference I want to point out today is the amount of motorbikes. You can see them parked there. Look at that, just bike after bike after bike after bike. Cars are expensive here. They're uncommon, and quite frankly, they're pretty impractical given how big they are. You can probably fit 4 motorbikes in the space of one car. Although, of course, the air conditioning is very, very useful. So when I have the option of getting a taxi with a car or with a motorbike, I take the car because the motorbike's just too hot. It might be half the price, but it's hot, it's sweaty, it's really no fun in this kind of temperature. So you jump in one of these and away you go. But I would say, obviously we're in a better area here, so there's quite a few cars, but if you go into a more middle class area, you'll barely see a car. It's just a swarm of motorbikes. So at the moment I'm near Grand Indonesia, which is a fairly upmarket shopping centre. So of course we have the traffic flowing on from there, which makes it look like there's more cars than there are, but indeed there's very much a lot of motorbikes. One more thing I really want to show you. So I'm just going to walk up to this intersection. So how the traffic works, right? So in Belarus, you've got lights everywhere, right? Red lights, green lights, and you just do what you're told basically, with the exception of there's a few big roundabouts. For example, that big roundabout at Victory Square Metro there, at Victory Square Monument. There's a really big roundabout there. But here, no roundabouts, no lights. Well, there's some lights, but it's pretty rare. So I'm going to take you up here to a pretty busy intersection and to show you how they navigate it. It's really interesting because when you're not regulated by these lights, you kind of learn what other people are thinking and feeling based on their body language or how they're moving, how the car's moving, and you can kind of work out where you fit. So it's all very kind of organic how it works. There's no stop, start, all run. You'll always see in Southeast Asian countries, novice European tourists trying to cross the road, stopping, starting. Within a few days, people usually work it out that you kind of just got to flow, and you got to allow yourself to be on the road, in the middle of the road with cars coming. It's cool. As long as they know what you're doing, yeah, that's the key here. They need to know what you're doing, you need to know what they're doing, so you got to watch and you got to pay attention to how things work. And it's definitely all about flow. Just walk at a predictable speed and there's no problems. Just before I get to the intersection now, I'm going to take you just there. But some of these things here, so I didn't actually know how much these cost. I've only been here a few days, but this exchange rate, so the exchange rate, this is 10,000, but the exchange rate is 15,000 to $1 US. So this is, you can see chicken, ayam, and nasi rice. This is only 66 cents. Throw in it. This is tea. I'm not sure what manis is yet, but tea is tea. It's not even $1 for some rice, some chicken. Looks not going to be a huge portion. Not a lot of nutrients in there, but not bad. And you got these drinks here for only about 50 cents. They'll have some. They'll be cold, milky kind of drinks with some jello in there and what looks like durian. If you don't know this smelly fruit durian, it's a tasty, smelly fruit in this part of the world. So you can see some of the prices here are crazy. And I'll tell you why they're so cheap and why Minsk doesn't have cheap prices for food. Because in Indonesia, there's a lot of poor, there's a lot of rich. Things are really, really split up. And there's poverty. Like you can go on this block here around the other side and there's people just sleeping under bits of tin, you know. Then you got people living with, you see over here, Plaza Indonesia with Christian Dior, right? So here you've got a really wide spread of incomes, a lot of poor, a lot of rich, a lot of middle. So as a result of that, the prices change a lot. Whereas in Belarus, almost everyone earns $400 or $500 a month, right? That's it, clear US dollars. So everyone kind of has the same amount of money. Well, 90% of people have the same amount of money. Therefore, the prices are kind of similar. Whereas here, you know, to be able to afford this, they need to make it cheap. Otherwise, no one's buying it. So, whereas in Belarus, people can afford $4 or $5 for a meal. Maybe they can't eat it out every day, but here they can if it's these kind of prices. Again, not even $1 for a meal to keep you going. You can see in there, kind of informal inside, people just sitting and enjoying themselves. Enough of that. I'll take you this way and let's just watch the traffic, and hopefully we can watch as people try and cross as well. So you can see people trying to cross. See that guy in the red jumper there? Zoom in on him right in the middle of the screen. Behind these cars will pop up in a moment. See, he's walking through there. Sorry, you can't quite see. He's kind of here. There he goes. Oh, there he is. See how he's walking in a smooth, calm way. Same pace. He's not stopping. He's not starting. For any cars that are coming, they know exactly what he's doing. Yeah, that's the key here. Let's watch a couple more. Because for you guys watching this, you'll probably laugh like, oh my goodness, what's going on? I'll just step away from the curb a little bit. I'm just aware that my setup here might get snatched. Only a small chance of that happening, but I've got to be aware of these things, especially when I'm concentrating on other things, which is filming. So you can see the cars coming from this way, and the car's going the other way there, and there's a big mall stop off here, so it's a real bottleneck. There you go, you can see three girls over there crossing. Zoom in on them, kind of crossing over there. And again, you just see how they're moving at a very predictable pace. And what happens after a while, as I say, you start to just feel people, feel what they're doing. There you go, these dudes walking this way again with the helmets there. There we go. Again, just walking at a nice, slow, please, thank you. At a nice, slow pace there. That was just a guy who was stopped and then went under my camera. So all good, very different vibe, huh? Very different vibe. And of course you have this, I want to really try and capture this contrast. You have this 50 cent, 70 cent meals, and then you have Christian Dior, then you have this massive monster of a shopping center. The contrast is really, really stark, whereas in Belarus, because you have that kind of communist background, everyone's kind of the same. Not everyone, but most people have a fairly similar life, and it's just like a middle of the road life, you know, like global standards, a little bit above average, but covering the basics essentially. Whereas here, not everyone covers the basics. You see that hectic, these four guys going past here. A little Mini Cooper happening, pretty funky. As I say, there is a lot of enshrined wealth in Indonesia, and this whole Plaza Indonesia here is just full of Burberry, Dior, Versace, and so on. All right, I hope you enjoyed that. It's been a lot of fun to make. Hope you enjoyed the differences, or some of them, between life in Minsk and life in Jakarta, Indonesia. Remember again, Jakarta is the big capital city, right? It's a big, big place for a lot of people, and a lot of people doing a lot of things, right? So it's pretty hectic, or at least it appears hectic. As you see again, people just crossing, no problems at all. Problema niet. So I'll sign off now. If you like this video, do click like. It lets me know what kind of stuff you want to see more of. If you are subscribed, I thank you. I'm glad you spend some more time together today. If you are not subscribed, I really want to know why. Your destiny is in your hands. Feel free to press that red subscribe button. Well, given that you're still here, what I'll do is I'll have a little bit of a walk, just show you a couple of things. Nothing in particular, nothing particularly interesting, but just how things are going here. What I'll do is I'll cross this street and walk a bit back around towards there's a monument there. So I'll take you for a little bit of a wander, and I'll definitely hold this in my right hand away from the street. So across here, now this is kind of regulated. These dudes kind of let a few through, they wait until there's a few people waiting. Now if you want to go in the shopping centre, you'll need to show your bag and then go to the security gate there like you would in an airport as well. So go here. Now what I'm seeing is that, I think you can just go. Yeah. I was a bit confused there because I thought he was going to direct us and then other people just went, but then he started directing. So yeah, he's got his little stop sign there. I'm going to let the man do his job. Waving his arm around furiously. And if he doesn't, I'll do the job for him. No, he's doing it. All right, let's do it. I'm walking over. We've got a nice little duck there doing his thing. And what I'll do is keep going this way. I'll go for that little bit of a wander. A little bit of a B-roll wander for you guys. So yeah, it's very hot here. Well, it's not crazy hot at the moment. That's a good thing. It doesn't get like hot. It doesn't get like 40, 45. At the moment it's probably sitting on 30, 31. Bit of a breeze, but very humid. Really humid. You can't really... You can walk for 5 or 10 minutes, but you don't really want to be walking around for much more than that, you know? See more construction. There's a lot of construction going on. There's a lot of these tall apartment blocks all the way through Jakarta. And you better like where you live, I tell you what, because it's hard to get anywhere. If you want to go to other areas in the city, you want to go either during the day or late at night. So after kind of 11, especially during the week, things free up. You can get around pretty easy, but yeah, if you want to move around at 5 or 6 in the evening, good luck. Like it can take you just hours to go just 5 kilometers. You know? So this was that intersection from before. A bit wild, a bit crazy. You see some more food stores in there as well. So I'll definitely go there for a meal at some stage. That's pretty fun in there. So as I say, this is for the super rich here. It's kind of interesting. You got your Tamrin City, which you can kind of see there. It's for kind of your middle class, normal Indonesians. Then you got your fairly rich ones go here, and then lined up here, Plaza Indonesia. This is where the uber rich go. A high society of Jakarta. I'll keep walking up here and just show you the next intersection. There's a big monument on there. We're not far from the National Monument, of course, which is what was given to Indonesia, or made by Indonesia, I'm not sure, but it was a mark of their independence from the Dutch, who colonised Indonesia some time ago. Now what you do get here, I've noticed, is a lot of greenery. Any apartment block you go into, they'll have a rooftop with some greenery. You can really see that they're trying to make an effort to make things greener. And you need it, you know, you need it. It can be a big, ugly concrete jungle, but as I say, certainly in the better areas anyway, the slum areas are a bit different, but in the better areas, they've made real efforts. You can really see big, strong, lush tree. And they're kind of everywhere. So it's quite nice. As I say, not really expected and difficult to do, you know. There's not a lot of room. You can't really, when you've got 15 or 20 million people trying to get around, you can't be putting trees everywhere. You know, that's the reality of it, right? Grand Hyatt there. As I say, a lot of wealth here. Let's go through this intersection here and show you this intersection. It's actually a roundabout here, and you get some serious traffic. You can start to get a sense of the traffic jams here, because what you've seen so far is good flowing traffic, because it is around actually only 3:30 in the afternoon. Let's have a look here. I think I'll just go. Always good to make eye contact if you can. So this is a big intersection here. There's a big memorial in the middle. It's something like Selamat Datang. Selamat Datang is like a friendly welcome, is my understanding. Selamat is just like good. Selamat. the tongue, I think, is like a welcome to you or some of this. So you can see here, massive roundabout with this kind of water feature in the middle here. You can get a grasp of the size. It's really quite incredible. It's somewhat of a tourist site. You can kind of see you guys here selling some stuff, you girls here taking the photos, a couple there taking some photos, and these ones are doing some photo shoots as well. And there you have it. Big fountain in the middle and just a lot of cars. And so how it works here, these cars will be privately owned, but the people will generally have a driver. So if you're wealthy enough to have this big pimped up BMW like this one here, you've got a driver as well. So you just have to call your driver, be here at this time, and they come pick you up, drop you off. There's probably some share arrangements that the people I've known here have had their own car, and they just have a driver come pick them up, drop them off, arrange, organise, negotiate, etc. So all these big four-wheel drives are no doubt family cars of wealthy Indonesians. Yeah, a lot of Mercedes, a lot of Beamers. And I don't know how the tax structure is here for cars. I'm going to guess there's a pretty high tax on cars coming in. Just a guess based on some other factors of other neighbouring countries and other things they tax here. I know there's an alcohol tax here of 150%. Being Muslim country, they generally want to discourage those impulsive short-term desires such as drinking. It looks pretty crazy, but it's actually quite relaxed, to be honest. You can tell people just going about their day, doing their thing. So let's walk back. I'm just going to go to this shopping centre for some coffee and to do a bit of language practice. So I'll walk back this way. I have the phone in my hand. I might as well just film it for you if you want to come back. Just walking back the same way, but different people, different cars. The language here is Bahasa Indonesian, which is actually a new language. They made it because there's been a lot of differing power structures in Indonesia. They wanted to make a new language, and they pretty much merged a whole lot of other languages in, and you got this Bahasa Indonesia, which is a fairly, I don't want to say a simple language, but certainly compared to Russian, it's simple, and probably also compared to English, it's also simple. It's got English characters. It's got English characters. Some of the pronunciation's a little bit different, but not super different, you know. So that makes it a lot easier to understand and to speak and to learn. But it's spoken very quickly, that's for sure. But a lot of people, especially in higher society, their kids are going to university and so forth, they can often speak English. You get a lot of just odds and ends English here and there as well that people know. My taxi driver last night, I was trying to speak with him in Indonesian, and he's as fluent as I am in English, which is pretty crazy. Just a random taxi driver, probably 50 years old, just having a bit of a chat. So people here are very polite. Politeness is very important, I've noticed. So like in Belarus, I'm just kind of adopting whatever the local norm is and doing this. So saving face, being polite, this kind of stuff, it's important in Belarus as well. But here I think maybe even more so, actually. This kind of idea of politeness and just kind of bowing your head and making sure there's good vibes, pretty important here. But anyway, the language. So they kind of created their own language less than 100 years ago. It's pretty cool. Because I often think that, you know, if you were going to, so this is a classic lifestyle thing here. See how they're jumping in the cab here? This is kind of how it works. You come out of the shopping centre, you get in a cab, you go home. Das Vidania. That's kind of how it works. You don't really walk around, and that's one thing that I really like about Minsk, is I can walk everywhere. Walk to the metro, walk to the shopping centre, walk to my friend's house, walk to Kamarovka Rinok. Whereas here, yeah, you kind of, I think if you stayed here a long time, you've really got to get some kind of exercise regime going, some kind of formal exercise regime, because you can see that you wouldn't move much You know, in taxi, out taxi, in taxi, out taxi. That's kind of the lifestyle here a little bit. So you're going to probably get a gym membership, or although a lot of the apartment blocks have gyms inside them, mine certainly does, where I'm staying for the minute. Just going to try and move this camera around a bit. There we go. So I'll jump in. I might go in the other side here. Arjuna. I think Arjuna is west. West lobby. Arjuna lobby. I'll go this side. I have another experience crossing the road for you guys. It's on a 2x zoom. I might just come back a bit. Our bro's got us some space here. Good bloke. Let me just unzoom this a little bit. Let's go 1.5. I'll walk through. We still got some stop. Yeah, he just nodded at me. See him going through. So I'll go through here. Now everything here is still very strict with COVID. So I'm going to have to put on a mask. And I'm going to have to show him what I have, which fortunately is nothing. Yesterday I came in with a backpack. Let me just get my mask out of my back pocket. Of course, having lived the good life in Belarus and not having to wear masks to worry about this kind of stuff, this is quite annoying, but nonetheless, my mask is now on. Successfully juggled the mask on, and looks like I had this bloke. And I might have to stop filming because the next guy is going to ask me for my vaccination certificate. And of course, that's on my phone. This is what I'm filming with. Let's check this out. Let's just shadow these people. There you go, nice, predictable. They slow down, you slow down. You all flow through. So I have to press stop just for now. I'll go as far as I can until I hear, excuse me, sir. When I hear that, excuse me, sir, I'll stop filming and I'll show them. There you go. Not yet, already. Already it is. I'll go this way and I'll press stop here. They actually have an application here that you've got to put all your certificates on, all your tests on and so forth, but it doesn't seem to be being updated. So you can see here, it's pretty quiet. I mean, obviously beautiful, modern, expensive place, but there's not many people. Not many people. This is shut, and when you walk around this shopping centre, a good proportion of the shops are shut because COVID is perceived as being a really big thing here. Whereas in Belarus, no one really cares. Drink some vodka, pick some potatoes. That was 2 years ago here in late 2022. It's still seen as very important by the locals, so a lot of locals just stay home basically. I'm wearing a mask at the moment, if you can't tell from my muffled voice. And see everyone else is as well, and seen very much as the right thing to do in this culture. So very different to Belarus. And of course what that means is that everyone's kind of concerned about their health, so they stay at home. So a lot of these shops are going out of business. It's all voluntarily. Oh, that part is voluntarily anyway. They all stay at home and don't want to go out, don't want to get sick. The perception that's very contagious, very dangerous, etc. It's kind of how it is. This looks pretty good, doesn't it? Oh, look at all those calories, baby. Oh, yes, please. Look at all those calories. That's around $2.30. It looks like a truffle kind of on the top there. So I don't know much of the language yet, but I know that this is coffee. That's all I know. I think I'm going to say it's chocolate. That's pretty obvious. Italian chocolate. We'll wander on a little bit. Oh, there you go. You can see blended. There you go. Some basic coffees there. So they're around for latte there, 42. So around $3 for a latte. That's kind of what you'd expect. Coffees are never really cheap anyway. For this kind of place anyway, where you can sit in and hang out and a place to be seen. That kind of vibe. You know, this shop here. Again, just notice there's no one here. This is an extremely busy mall, big busy mall, well located. And I would say that there's about 10% of the traffic there would have been, maybe 20% of the foot traffic there would have been pre-COVID. So nothing's really changed here, which frankly makes it a bit troublesome being here, although there's benefits because the roads are quite clean. As I said, there's barely any pollution here. Like, I remember coming here several years ago and my goodness, you could barely breathe, really. It's a classic big stinky South Asian city. But now, because everyone's at home, doesn't want to come out, there's a lot less pollution, and this is a nice thing. You can get around a bit more. Whereas back in the day, it's 4 o'clock, you stay where you are. There's no point going anywhere. Just stay there until 8 o'clock. And if you want to be someone for dinner, you go there at 4. Otherwise, you'll just end up spending 3, 4, 5 hours in a taxi. So that's kind of how it works. We've got Starbucks here. Quite popular. Zoom in on the menu there and have a look. So basic coffee. Oh, they just changed it. That's around 58,000. Around 4. Also got around $4 or $5. My gimbal just had a bit of a tantrum. Yeah, $4 or $5 is kind of your typical price. 3 to 4.5. All these different kind of frappuccinos and stuff. I've got that on ultra zoom, so it's not very. It's a little bit grainy. So I'll just move on. And typical, lots of digital nomads on their laptops. Typical as to what you would see in Indonesia. Some friends hanging out. Just change his zoom. I'm on mega zoom. Let me just come in a little bit. I'll just quickly show you inside what people are up to. Again, very much that working from home, working remotely kind of thing. Lots of laptops. A nice outdoor area there as well. And this is looking very tempting for me to set up actually. Do a bit of language practice. Hey, here's our bro, throwing up the signs. And I've noticed actually here that I was surprised how many people always said hello to me when I was filming in Belarus. And I noticed that, you know, maybe every 10-minute movie, maybe I get 2 hellos. But here, man, everyone's really happy. When you film out on the streets, you could have 10 hellos in a couple of minutes. It's very interesting dynamic. All right, I'm going to find myself a coffee shop. I think this is actually really hard to get a seat in here, to be honest. I'll have a quick look first. Not that I'm much of a Starbucks person, but I'll see if I have the option first. I might try the other place. There's not a lot. Oh, you can kind of sit up here. There's one seat there. And that's about all, I think. We've got one little seat here. So she's got 4 to herself. And there's not really many options out there. Oh, you can sit there actually. And that might be okay. A little chair there. But you can see people are really settled in for the day. It's very much an office space essentially. Effectively co-working, common working, whatever you call it nowadays. Kind of area is Starbucks. That's enough. I'm getting hungry and thirsty, so hope you enjoyed this extra little bit of footage.